I already forgot what I was going to talk about. God damn it. Mother. Oh, I can't believe I literally forgot what I was going to talk about. So, today I want to talk about a topic which has been in the news quite a lot recently, actually, if we're being honest. And I want to be a little bit more serious about this for reasons which I will disclose here in just a minute. But today, I want to discuss digital ID, age verification, and all of that stuff. Because lately we're seeing more and more of that. We're seeing like Discord with its former partner Persona, which they thankfully did drop, but they have said that they are still going to do ID verification. They are just going to wait to roll it out for about 6 months or so. They're not the only ones either. Pardon me, I just had a protein shake and for some reason it dried out my mouth, which I don't normally do. But anyway, Twitch also uses Persona, or did. I think they actually ended up dropping their partnership with them as well. Last I checked, LinkedIn and Roblox also use it for their age and identity verification, which if you saw my other video about Discord and Persona, you know what information they have because we have a copy of the headers for their database. Basically, the columns of information where it's like your name, your age, your sex, your location, things like that. So, if you saw that video, you already know why Persona is bad, but many of you may not know why digital identification, digital verification, and all of that is bad. And you may be seeing that states like California and Colorado, and even the federal government of the United States of America, as well as a few others around the world, are trying to pass or have already passed laws requiring that people identify themselves in order to use services such as Discord, video games, certain apps, and they're trying to push further and require either that basically every service has some form of verification, or as we've seen in bills like in California and Colorado, they're trying to force the actual operating system to have information on you that it can then send to these services so that they can have the information, which I'm going to break the mold a little bit and say that if it was optional, it would not be bad. I mean, many of you watching this already put your credit cards on your cell phone and then let services request that information from where it is stored. I don't, but I don't really trust the security of my aging phone. So there's nothing on there at all, honestly. But again, that is optional. You do not have to put your credit card information into a storage space on your phone in order to use that information to access websites or pay. You can just put it in on the website and then delete the information later. The bills in California and Colorado and potentially other places, at the time of filming this, it's just those two states, but potentially other places would basically require that you input certain information as when you create or spin up an OS, basically. Which, first off, that's not going to work because Linux, the general suite of operating distributions called Linux, do not even have accounts by default. Like, I have a fork of Arch that has an account manager on it, but that is an explicit fork that is designed to have the power of Arch but still be easy to use for people who are swapping over from Windows. That's why it has it. The base Arch does not have that at all. Most Linux distros do not have any kind of account on them at all. You just start up the machine and there you are. Second off, a lot of Linux is actually used in backends. I mean, YouTube, the website you're watching this on, uses Linux in its backend. I just knocked something off my desk. I am so sorry. The other services that most of us use daily, Twitch, Discord, Amazon, Twitter, Facebook, all of them have Linux in the backend. Are they supposed to have age verification for the people who are working on them? Their operating systems, very complex and very mind-numbingly complex operating systems, sure. Should the engineers who work on them have to input their information into them every time they want to log in to fix something? No. But to get back to what started me in wanting to make this video, a lot of politicians are pushing ID verification, age verification, digital ID, and other things like that lately. And I've seen what people are saying about it online. I've seen people being like, oh, well, they're too stupid to function. We shouldn't even let them have that. Or, oh my God, they're so old, they don't know what they're doing. And like, I'm willing to put my foot where my wallet currently is and bet that some of the politicians that are proposing these bills just genuinely do not understand this. They genuinely don't know what they're actually getting into when they end up proposing these bills, which are probably written by lobbyists or advisors to them. Now, again, I might be wrong. Maybe all of them are too stupid to function, but I'm putting this video out there, and I am even going to send a link to this video to several of the politicians that are pushing these bills, because I'm willing to bet that they don't understand the inherent problems with digital ID that we currently have now. So, yes, unironically, I am actually sending this video out to politicians after I put it on YouTube. That is how serious I am about this topic. So, first order of business, digital identity in general, where multiple amounts of information about you are online, like Persona. I mean, again, we saw that they have name, age, location, your home address, all of that other stuff. As we saw with Persona, it was just open. I don't know how else to describe it. The entirety of their code base was just there for anybody to access. How can you trust that the actual data kept in those databases was any more safe if the entirety of their source code itself was available to anyone who went to their website and said, hey, what you got for me, buddy? And the thing is, this is honestly way more common than it should be. Like, I hate to say it, but a lot of these services have repeatedly proven insecure. I mean, look at the hack of Discord. They had, just last year, 70,000 users whose information was stolen. Almost immediately after they started their digital ID in the UK, somebody just logged in and grabbed terabytes of data. We saw with Spotify, with the entirety of their 30 terabyte music library having been stolen. I mean, how many hacks has Facebook had at this point? The answer is yes. That is how many hacks Facebook has had, yes. These services that we are trying to push bills that say, hey, you need to verify the identities of all of your users or else, but with legal bills like this, they're not secure. I mean, they're not perfectly open, but the truth is they basically do the minimum security needed to say that they are secure. And that stops like 95-96% of all of the hacks, but it doesn't stop all of them. It doesn't stop the most sophisticated ones, as we have already seen. If digital identification with information like what Persona has becomes a requirement, what you are going to see within a year after that is going to be the biggest wave of identity theft that has ever happened in the history of the human race, because the amount of information that these services request to verify identity and keep is that great. I mean, again, Persona, name, age, your email address, they probably have your social security number. I mean, their code base says they have your social security number, so they probably have your social security number if you verified with them. So again, digital identification as a mandatory government thing will not work because security is not absolute and it will never be absolute. Even if these companies went above and beyond and implemented the best, most perfect security measures they could, the fact that they have to be internet accessible by users means there will always be a new exploit discovered. New exploits are discovered by researchers every single day. There's an entire website about exploits discovered, which you're seeing right here on the screen right now. There is no such thing as perfect security. If we make it legally mandatory for these various services and social media companies to collect information about users for those users to use them, the only thing that is going to happen is the biggest wave of identity theft ever, the biggest wave of fraud ever, and the biggest wave of abuses ever. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when will it happen, because it will happen the moment one of them is compromised. And most likely one of them is going to be compromised in less than a year after these laws go into effect. So that's the first and the honestly biggest problem with digital identification, is that security is not perfect. It will never be perfect. It cannot be perfect, because the only way to have a perfectly secure database It's for no one to be able to access that database, not even the on-site engineers. So unless you want that information sitting on a server where no one can ever access it for any reason ever, it will not be perfectly secure. It will be at some point accessed by an unauthorized third party. It is going to happen. Oh, my mouth is so dry. I need to go and find some water after I finish this. The second problem with digital ID and age verification is what Discord called their teen by default setting. The way these bills are currently being laid out assume teen by default for everyone who wants to use these services. That is a problem because it means that the predators who actually want to harm children will just be able to say, no, I don't want to verify my identity. And immediately all of the stuff they can access was guaranteed to have children on it. Not, it might have children, it will have children on it. There are no exceptions to that. Because if you assume everyone is a child by default, then people who are malicious will simply say to these services, I too am a child, by the way. And that's it. They will literally just have access to all of the victims they could ever want. Literally all of the victims they could ever want, and then some. By doing a digital identity verification and assuming that those who do not want to or who are unable to are children, you're just giving the predators the thing that will make, there's no easy way to put this, you're giving predators their prey served up on a silver platter. That is what these laws are doing at the end of the day. Again, this is it's by no means like a lesser issue than point one I have made, but it is still the second biggest issue. It's the same size as issue one in a metaphorical sense, basically. You are serving up children to the very people who enjoy hurting them by doing digital ID laws, by requiring ID and putting people into a closed-walled garden by default and assuming that they are all children. You are just saying to predators, by the way, here's everything you could ever want. Go have fun, buddy. The third problem is that if you make the barrier of entry for any of these services too high, you don't stop the demand for these services. You don't stop the demand that teenagers have for social media, video games, and other such things on the internet by simply saying that they have to verify their identity first. Instead, what you do is what we have already seen in Australia. People go underground to access that stuff anyway. The best analogy I saw is one that I unfortunately cannot seem to find again. Somebody said that if you build the fence high enough that they cannot climb over it, they will dig underneath it instead. And yes, that's how this is going to work. If you make it so that teens can't access the content that they want, that they can't play video games until they're a certain age, that they can't access Twitter, they can't access Facebook, they can't access Instagram or YouTube or Twitch until they're old enough, all you're doing is creating a black market of websites that will serve them anyway. Sites which have fewer restrictions, whose owners do not care at all about the safety of the children on it. You will just create an entire new boom in the dark web where most of the customers are teenagers. I mean, again, we've already seen that with the Australia digital ID laws and the banning of people under 16 from social media. So those are the three biggest problems, honestly. I mean, like, there are tons of problems, don't get me wrong. I can sit here for 14 billion years naming problems with digital identity and all of that. But instead, I want to take a moment to describe what I personally see as the solution to the actual genuine solution that will protect children online. And I'm not saying this as like, oh, ha, 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 I'm smarter than you. No, I am saying this as somebody who has been on the internet since I was a kid. I have been on the internet longer than some politicians have been alive, and I'm not joking about that. I have seen the rise and fall of GeoCities and MySpace and other such websites. That is how long I have been on the internet. I am saying this as somebody who has a ton of experience with the internet. Somebody who, I'm saying this as free advice to the politicians who will hopefully watch this video. Consider this completely free. You do not have to pay for it. You don't have to give me any money. This is just my advice, my suggestions. But what I see as the solution to this, raise the minimum wage. No, I'm not kidding about that. I am genuinely serious. The thing is, part of the reason you see parents not parenting their kids anymore is because some of them are genuinely working. You genuinely have households where both parents are pulling 16 hours a day to work just to make sure that their kid can go to school and eat food. Raising the minimum wage will mean that they can work fewer hours, and that will in turn mean that they can spend more time with their kids. And spending more time with their kids means they will be better able to supervise their own children. There is this concept in economics called the living wage. This is the most basic explanation. If you sent this to like an actual economist, they would be like, that's a good elementary explanation, but there's a lot of things that were skipped over. But there is this concept called the living wage, and basically the way it functions is we have noted that economically speaking, most households of 4 people, 2 parents and 2 children, will generally spend between 30 and 35% of their household income on food. So all we do is we take the cost to appropriately feed a family of 4 based on available pricing at supermarkets and local mom and pop stores. We figure out how much it would cost in order to feed them for either a month or a year, depending on which researcher you talk to. We multiply that by 3, and then we divide by the number of standard working hours within the same time frame. Standard working hours means 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, weekends off, holidays off, the standard 2 weeks vacation, etc. So over the course of a year, there are 2,088 standard working hours in a year. For reference, there are about 8,000 total hours in a year. So if you do the most bog standard working hours you possibly can, you're spending a quarter of your life working, basically. In many states, the living wage is approaching 4 times the minimum wage. Literally, like, there's charts for this that you can find just by Googling. Think about what that means for a second. If you have a family of 4 that needs to make money for their 2 kids in order to have them fed, clothed, watered, and send them to a school, even a public school, mind you, that are already paid for by tax dollars, and they live in an area where the minimum wage is 25 to 30% of what is required for them to live, the parents are working 16 hours a day each. They get up at 4 to 5 a.m., get ready and leave for work so they can be there by 6 a.m. at the latest. Then they work till 10 p.m. and then they go home, which can take them till 11 p.m. to midnight, depending on where they work. At what point are those parents supposed to be able to monitor their kids if they are away from home from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. or from 4 a.m. to midnight every single day? They can't. And therein is 99% of your issue. The minimum wage being so low is the result of like 99% of the problems that these digital ID laws are claiming that they are solving. 99% of those problems are literally just the minimum wage is far too low in order for families to actually parent their children. That's it. That's 99% of the problems. If we raise the minimum wage so that it is at least, bare minimum, at least half the living wage. Half the living wage would enable both parents to just work the standard 9 to 5 day job and still be able to provide for their kids, and it would give them time to be there for their children to actually parent them. That is the bog standard bare minimum. The minimum wage needs to increase significantly, more than double what it is now in many places. That alone will, over the course of a few years, solve the vast majority of the problems with children accessing the internet, getting addicted to the internet, finding things online that they shouldn't find, such as the hub. Just that will genuinely solve so many problems. Oh my God. I'm starting to get out of breath from this. I have not talked this much since before I caught COVID. No, I'm not kidding. I genuinely have not talked this much since before I caught COVID, and the effects of COVID are clearly rearing their ugly heads right about now. So I'm getting a little bit tired and a little bit overwhelmed by having to record this. So there's not going to be too much longer left in this video. Just to recap what I said, digital ID laws will lead to the worst abuses we have ever seen. That is just what is going to happen. It's just a matter of when will it happen. And most likely, it's going to happen in less than a year. The actual way to solve this is to raise the minimum wage so that it is more in line with the living wage. Bare minimum, half the living wage, or more. The vast majority of problems will just disappear because the people will make them disappear. The problems with kids accessing things like, as one politician put it, hardcore fetish porn, that will disappear if there are parents who are able to spend time with their kids because they make enough money that they don't have to work grueling work days where they're gone before sunrise and don't get back till after sunset. But I am not suggesting this because, I'm so smarty. And I am not suggesting this to destroy America. I love this country. I want it to be better. I am imploring the politicians to basically just listen and consider this. Consult with experts in these fields. If you're pushing for or thinking about pushing for a digital ID law, an age verification law, or whatever, consult actual experts. My inbox is open. You are welcome to message me if you want my personal opinion on anything. No, I'm genuinely serious. If you're a politician and you're considering an action, please reach out to me. I will give you my personal opinion, but if you don't want to because you don't consider me an expert or don't consider me trustworthy, if you don't consider me an expert because you look at me and see a 2D avatar with a mouth that barely moves because the tracking doesn't want to work right, then fine, please reach out to other experts in the field. Consult with them. Talk to people who know what they are talking about. Please. Consult actual experts. If you're currently pushing one of these bills, rethink what you're doing. Reach out to me, reach out to someone else, and just genuinely think this through. Don't push it just because a lobbyist has told you that it would work. As a general rule of thumb, if somebody is telling you to make something into a law, consult the experts on that, find the problems with that law, and then do your best to either correct them or just, if you have to, completely drop pushing that law. There is nothing wrong with not knowing what you are talking about. As our representatives, we don't hire you because you know everything about every subject ever. We hire our representatives in the hopes that when they do not know something, they will talk to people who do, find good, solid, well-educated opinions, and then we trust that they will make laws that are in the best interest of the people. So I'm asking you to just reconsider the current digital ID, digital verification laws, consult experts, talk to them about what is wrong with them, and in my personal opinion, I think you should drop all of the current ones like what California and Colorado are doing. I think you should drop bills like KOSA, Kids Online Safety Act. That's my personal opinion. You're welcome to message me at any time. I will respond as soon as I am able to tell you more about why. But if you don't want to consult me, consult someone who knows better. Ask them, and then, how do I say this? And then find a better way forward. Find better ways that will actually improve our society rather than the current ways, which I personally believe will completely destroy our society. So, no. Oh my God. Man, COVID really affected my lung capacity. I used to be able to yap like that for hours without ever having any issues breathing, but that's just something to work on. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about. That's all I really wanted to say. I've been recording for I don't even know how long at this point. I am going to have to cut some of this information out, but for now, that's everything. Thank you all so much to everyone who watched this video. I hope that on some level I was able to get some kind of point across, and I hope that you enjoyed the video overall. I hope that you will give serious consideration to what I said, and yeah, that's actually honestly it. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are around the globe. And I will see you in the next video, which I don't know when that will be. I know what the topic I want to be is, but I don't know when I will post it. So just hit the subscribe button, and you'll eventually find out when I post it. Goodbye.